Hey everybody, and welcome back to the channel. What's going on with you? I hope you're all having a great day so far. I thought I'd do some tiers, honestly. I've been doing tier lists, by myself and everything for a long time. So why not go ahead and do a couple for the channel? I can't believe I haven't done this before. The first one is obviously classes, class tier maker. So I think if I want to change the side pieces, I'll do it, but honestly S through D should be all right. Actually, you know what? No. We're gonna delete that. So yeah, I don't think there's any bad classes. So S through C. C being serviceable, not my favorite. S being one of my favorite. And this is obviously my opinion. It's not any. There's no analytics behind it. There's no anything else but how I feel about the class. So let's start off. We'll just do left to right. So Death Knights, easily one of my favorite classes in the game. Death Knights are at this current point, although I'm not playing too much, but they were, for the past few expansions, my favorite tanks. They might not be the best, but to me, when I was tanking as a Death Knight, it always felt like I was extremely overpowered and just could not die. So that's really great. Demon Hunters, I'll go B. I'm sure they should be S. Like all these classes, I'm sure should be S according to a certain person. But for me, I mean, they're B. When they came out in Legion, I did play some. And they weren't my favorite, but they were really cool. They were really niche for the expansion, and I thought they were really cool. So B, you could have some fun with them. I like the double jump and glide. Who doesn't like that? But as far as the class itself, it's hit or miss for me. I don't want to do it C because it's not the worst in my opinion. Druid is my second favorite. Honestly, it might be my favorite. These two are 1A and 1B. Druids were my first ever class. Before I even had my account and I was sharing with my parents, Druids were the go-to class because who doesn't want to turn into a cat, a bear, a bird, anything like that? Like, that's just really cool to me. Transforming has always been really cool to me in any kind of other game too. So yeah, I tanked a little bit in Classic and Burning Crusade Classic, and that was really fun because I had never played Classic in that manner. So getting to play it in its original form was super cool. As far as the other expansions, as we go on, I always enjoyed cat form. And then who doesn't love flight form? So it really was an all-inclusive class. It's probably the most versatile class, obviously, because you have the tank, the DPSs, and the healing that you can go anywhere you want. And yeah, that's just S. Hunters are an A. I have to admit I don't play Hunter often, but when I do, it's always fun. Because you get to summon animals, summon traps, you get that real survival feel. And you really can't go wrong with a hunter, a ranger in any kind of game. It's a staple class, and I think it belongs in A. Mage is probably going to be another A, maybe B minus, A plus, or A minus, B plus. I'll put it right here for now. We'll have to readjust. So Mage, it's just really cool. Your typical wizard caster class type thing. You got fire, arcane, and frost. I traditionally have always picked frost. In classic, I chose frost as well, but in hardcore classic, I chose fire so I could do single target burst. If you like caster spells, then go all in for it. I wish they had a little bit different of a kit, maybe just a little bit more survivability. But maybe I'm just playing it wrong, and maybe that's just me. But yeah, A, I mean, it's still a really good class, and I have fun when I do it. I love the Frost Orb. That's really cool. Monk is going to be my C. That's the only C that I can think of at the moment. Because when I played it, it was right after Pandaria, or like right at the end of Pandaria into Warlords of Draenor. And I like the idea of the class, and I like watching others play it really well. I didn't personally have too fun with it. I like their role, and honestly, that's about it for them. I just didn't enjoy them. I made one just to play them a little bit, but it just wasn't my favorite. That's really all there is to say about it. It didn't personally vibe with me. I'm sure there's so many other people that love it. For me, it didn't work out very well. Next, we have Paladin. Paladin is going to be like a B minus. I love the idea of a Paladin. Playing as Arthas in Warcraft 3 really gave me a good feel for the Paladin as a class. And then coming into World of Warcraft, it didn't really do as well as I thought in my brain. I mean, I still enjoy the class for what it is. One of my first ever characters, besides the Druid that I mentioned, was a Paladin named Butthead. Butthead with an E at the end, so I wouldn't get into trouble. And honestly, I healed. I healed as a Paladin, and I would just holy light everybody. And that was pretty much all that I remember. But I remember Consecration and the shield toss, or the shield bounce, whatever it's called. And that was really fun to me. But that's all I can really remember about it. And I don't really play it very often anymore. Every once in a while I'll hop on just to see any like class changes and mess around with that. But that's pretty much where I'm going to have it now. It's not my favorite. It's not the worst. It's serviceable. And if you're ever in needing some kind of holy light-bound warrior, then that's obviously the class for you. Alrighty, next up we have the Priest. The Priest for me is probably going to be A- B, again right in that range of the Mage as well. I think it probably goes above the Mage though, however, because of the versatility that you have. Obviously, as a Priest, you have heals, which if you want that spellcaster vibe, great. But if you want spellcaster vibes with heals, then that's a one-up for Mage, obviously. And I think that's pretty much what does it for putting it over the Mage. It's just the fact that I can heal. And again, it's one of those classes where I don't play too much, kind of like the Paladin, but when I do, it's serviceable and it's fun to play while I'm playing it. I would just prefer to play something else, but that doesn't mean it's a bad class when I do play it. Next up, we have Rogue. I'm not big on squishy melee, if that makes sense. It's like if I'm going to be a melee, I'd prefer to be something that can take a hit, because I'm really, really clumsy when it comes to video games. Certain senses where I take too many hits and I'm not quite the most agile with clicking away and clicking to avoid. That's why I'm terrible at Dark Souls. But rogues, their kit, A+. How I play them, it makes them a C. So it's got to be in like B. I just do terrible with them, so that probably ruins the experience for me a little bit. Although I love their poisons. I played one in Classic again when it came out, and the poisons were my favorite part. I mean, you know, if I can't hit right and I got to run away, the poisons will slowly kill them. So at least it helps me out a little bit, cancel out some of that clumsiness like I mentioned. So it is a good class, and I'll put it in B because it is really fun. And I like their Vanish, so that's really cool. Next up, Shamans. Shamans are going in A+. Not quite S for me, but A+. I love the earthy, just communing with nature class. A Tauren Shaman is like the peak of Warcraft when I think about it. A Tauren Shaman or like a human mage. That's one of the first things that pops in my mind. And it really embodies the I'm gonna be tanky, I'm gonna throw some rocks at you, some fire, some water. You're really the Avatar. I loved Avatar Last Airbender growing up, so playing as this class really gives me the I can hit you with everything possible. Anything you can think of, I can hit you with vibes. So, A tier. I would put it in S, but I just don't play it quite as much as the Druid and Death Knight, so it probably would be, if I played it more, it probably would be S. Probably even above the Druid, but I don't play it quite as much, so I'm going to leave it at A+, around that area. But yeah, that's where it belongs because it's such a great class. Warlock. Who doesn't love summoning things? And I'm going to put it right here around the same mark because it's the same basically as the Hunter, but it's even cooler because you're a spellcaster that can summon not just different animals, but different interdimensional beings. And I love the Burning Legion in Warcraft lore. I love all of the different varieties of demons that we got to see in Legion, and it really culminates in this wonderful summoning caster that can hit you with, you know, burning magic. It can hit you with mind-numbing magic. It can hit you with all kinds of corruption. And on top of that, stuff that you're doing, your minions and your demons that you're summoning are also doing the same thing. So it's really a fun class that embodies the spellcasting aspects as well as the tanky, the hunter. So it's a good combination of like a mage and a hunter into one. Actually, a mage, hunter, priest, all those in one, because you can heal with your life tap and hearthstones and stuff. So it really is an embodiment of all these three that I said were really fun to play into one. And again, in Classic, it's fun. I know I'm talking about Classic a lot, but that's the most recent that I've played, and it really, really is fun to play. Warlock, is probably going to be 4th in the rankings. So 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, and we have our final class, the Warrior. It is your run-of-the-mill melee. Can be a tank, can take some damage, or can be just a fast, furious, sword-wielding, axe-wielding slasher. And that's pretty much the average class. It's really average. Like when you think of something, you're gonna have your melee warrior. That's just throughout any fantasy RPG, anything like that. You're gonna have a warrior. But honestly, it's right up here with the rogue for me. I guess it's probably slightly higher than the rogue because, the melee, at least for the warrior, I can put a shield on and be a tank, and take some damage if I really need to. Their survivability is not the best, so I always have problems with that. Again, I have problems in combat where I'm not quite the fastest or most agile, so I take extra hits, and sometimes that can ruin me. It definitely screwed me over in Hardcore Classic. So B, they are versatile. They can get you from a lot of different ways, and if you know how to play the class, you can do a hell of a lot of damage very fast. So this is my current ranking. I think I'm gonna stick with this. So you got Druid at 1A and Death Knight at 1B. You could really swap these back and forth. I wouldn't care. And then A, we have the Shaman at 3, Warlock at 4, Hunter at 5, Priest at 6, and Mage at 7. It's a pretty decent lining, honestly. You could switch any of these 3 right here for me, and it'd be all right. I think I'm secure in keeping these 2, 3, and 4. We got number 8, Warrior, number 9, Rogue, number 10, Demon Hunter, 11, Paladin, and 12, Monk. And I feel like this does a disservice to Monk and Paladin as being the last 2, but really, actuality, these are all great classes. You can say anything you want about these. They are all really well done classes, and I really like them. Some are better than others in certain situations. The Monk is probably really great in like raiding or PvP, and I just don't know about it because I don't do that stuff very much. Like some of the big pros do. So this could be completely swap back and forth if you wanted to. It's just the right person. But this is my list, and we're going to get over to the next tier list, and I hope you all enjoyed this one. All right, welcome back. We're doing the World of Warcraft starting zones tier list because I figured why not stick to something interesting. All right. I was going to do a classic version, but there was only 6 areas, so I wanted to make it a little bit more. All right, we're going to start from left to right like we did last time, and just go from there. So the Draenei, the Dran something area, really, really cool when you log into it. The music is fantastic. The area that you crash into, very green, very luscious, and you're looking around wondering what's going on. And I really think this has to be an A. It's not quite the best because there's a couple others that I could put above it, but I think we're starting off strong with an A. Draenei area is very, very nice. Yeah, let's go. All right, the undead starting area. As far as aesthetics, not very pleasing. Obviously, it's a very undead, gloomy, death-ridden area. So if you're an aesthetic person, not the best. However, the storyline is definitely really good, but I don't think it overpowers how doom and gloom it looks. And I'm sorry to do this, but I think it belongs in C. All right, the next area looks like it's going to be the Blood Elf area. Blood Elf area, like the Draenei, they really did well in Burning Crusade with these new 2 races. I think it belongs in A. It's a very, very colorful, very powerful. You can almost feel the magic when you're walking around doing the quest. You see these giant buildings and these powers and these creatures that you've never seen before, and it vibrates energy, and you just walk around and you're amazed at what else could be around this corner. You see this race of elegant elves in their spellcasting robes, and these brooms that go on their own, and the bookshelves that are flying around. It's really wonderful. It feels like you're in a wizarding, like Harry Potter almost, like centered world, and it's really fun. And honestly, I'm gonna leave it at A because it's a really good area. All right, Dunmoreau, the dwarf and gnomish stone. Are we combining actually? I think so. Yeah, it looks like we're combining it. Yeah, so the dwarf and gnome. I think they're just counting like 1 through 10, not the 1 through 5. Okay. All right. So yeah, Dunmoreau, the dwarven and gnomish area. Although technically the gnomes now have Gnomoragan to go through a little bit. But let's just say the area as a whole, once you get out of that, the white snowy area, not Gnomoragan. That, I'll give it, it's iconic because it's in the original trailer. You see the dwarf climbing up the mountain with his bear. So in that sense, it has to be at least a C. The questing part, I mean, it's very dwarvish. When you walk around, you can definitely feel like you're in a dwarf area. And, I mean, that's kind of all it's got going for it, you know? I mean, you see some dwarves walking around. You see some cold Arctic animals and enemies. And I don't know. It just, for me, it's got to be a B, maybe, like a low B. Something might go ahead of it, but I don't have much to say about it. It's not one of my favorites. But at least it's better than the undead area, you know, bright, and it feels like there's a little bit of life to it. So, yeah, we'll stick with B. All right, we got Durotar as our next starting area. The combined slightly higher level for trolls and orcs. I know trolls now have their own, just like the dwarves. But orcs and trolls. And this is another one, I hate to say it. It's gotta be B or C. I mean, it's so plain. It doesn't have that magical feel like the Draenei area and the Blood Elf area. When I see this, I mean, I think it's supposed to be that way, so I don't want to mock it too hard. But when I see this, I think of very doom, gloom. Not quite like the Undercity, but more in terms of there's nothing there. And I know it's a very desolate area, and like I said, I don't want to take it away from that. Because it's really supposed to be like that. It's a barren wasteland in the middle of nowhere. But it's a free place where the orcs could be. So I don't know if I should knock it off from there, but that's just what it is. I mean, I don't want to go too in depth with it, but I think it's a B. It's a good area for what it is, and there's, you know, a little bit of human there, so you get the traditional orc human fight, but it's not too great, so I'm going to keep it at a B. All right, so the next area we have is the Worgen Gilneas area. And first off, it belongs in S. And the only reason it wouldn't be in like a higher S plus tier is because you're trapped there. You literally have to go through this leveling process that, what, is 10, 12 levels, something like that. And you're trapped there. You can't just go to another area. Oh, like, you know what? I just got my Worgen, the curse, and I want to go somewhere else now at level 5, level 6. No. You have to stay there the entire time. So that's the only knock, I'd say. And we'll get to the next one's like that too. Yeah, I mean, it definitely belongs in S because it's such a unique experience, and it's something that we hadn't seen before, I don't think, off the top of my head, and it's really just unique. And I'm going to go ahead and add on to that. We're going to do the Goblin area as well. They really did good in Cataclysm. It's a really great area because it's such a unique story. And like I said, the only reason it's not higher would be because you're trapped in it. I mean, you're trapped in it to what? Like I said, 12-ish for the Gilnean area, and for the goblins, I think it's around the same when you wash up on the shores. So that would be my only gripe against it. But you're immersed in this area that feels unreal. You've truly been immersed in an area that is far from anything you'd see in the real world. Just kind of like the Draenor and the Blood Elf area, but I feel like it's just such a higher presence when you're there. You really feel something great there. So let me move on. The Demon Hunter starting zone. I'm gonna put it at A because it's a fast-paced environment in which you have to go, and they drop you right into the middle of a battle, right into the middle of a story that is. You feel like you left the room and it started before you got there, so you're kind of out of the loop, but you just can keep going because it's constant action. And that's pretty much all there is to say about it. It's such a great area. It's an A plus to me. Yeah, you really can't go wrong with it. I do enjoy the Demon Hunter starting area. Not that I've only made like 3 or 4 Demon Hunters, but every time I've really wished that the starting area could be longer because there's just so much great about it. Like, if they could, like, if you're trapped in a storyline, make it the Demon Hunter storyline. You know, I wish it was 5-10 levels long. That really embodies a great starting area. Really, it does. The next area we got is the Mulgore, the Tauren area. And that's going to be an A2. It really is a great area. There's not too much there. It's very simple, but it's open plains, and you almost feel like it's calming when you're playing. There's just you, a cow, and a bunch of animals around you. There's not too many internal conflicts. It's kind of just you versus nature. So that's why Tauren Druids are so great for me. It's because you're just you versus the world. You're just taking on, a wolf here or a bird here, and it really puts you at ease almost. It's complete opposite from the Demon Hunter zone, in my opinion, just because this one's go, this one's here, go kill these wolves at your leisure, don't rush, just do your thing. So that's a good change of pace, but it is equally good. The next zone is the Death Knight zone, and this one's gonna have to be S2. And now that I think about it, I don't know why I didn't think about this earlier, but it is locked just like the other ones are. You have to go through the whole story. But for some reason, the Death Knight zone, I don't feel like I'm being locked in. I think it might be because you're in the Demon Hunter zone sense, where you are dropped in this conflict, and it's just, you're so close to the Lich King, who up to that point has been a mythical figure where you can't get close to him, but you've heard so much about him, and it's almost like daunting seeing him there, knowing that you're doing his bidding, and you're like, wow, this is really cool. In my experience, the quests go really, really fast, so you don't feel like you're there for 5 levels or 4, something like that. You don't feel like you're there for that long because there's constantly something to do. And yeah, it's just a really great, I don't want to babble, but it really is such a great area. Death Knights have to be one of my most created classes, right up there with Druids, because those are 2 of my favorites. So probably made at least a dozen Death Knights across the years that I currently play. I'm sure I've made more that I've deleted, but that I'm currently and actively know about, it's got to be about a dozen, just because it's such a great area. And let's go over to the Night Elf area, which is the giant tree, which dun 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 no longer is here. But we still get to start there for now, as far as I know. The tree, it's almost like the undead world, but I'm gonna prop it up in B, because, truth be told, I just think the enemies and the questing is a little bit more life fulfilling and not boring. And I hate to do that to the undead, because it really is, they're a great race and they're great class selections, and I love it. But as far as everything we've kind of discussed on the other, it's just not as good. So the tree has to be slightly above it at least. It's not my favorite. Matter of fact, it's a little bit above Orgrimmar 2 or a Durotar. It's just something about how you feel about it. I can't really put it into words too much, but when I make a Night Elf and I see all the green, the lushness, the mythical feel to it, like these are beings that have been alive for thousands and thousands of years, and you almost get the sense that you're unworthy. I don't know if that makes sense, but you're just like, wow, little old me is playing this great, amazing race. Let's go. It's hard to say, but I really think it's just slightly better than the Undead and Orc Troll area. All right, the last one, the Pandaria experience. I'm going to go B. Again, when I started playing for real, it was the end of Pandaria, like a few months before Draenor came out. So I definitely made a panda, and it was definitely relevant when I made it. And it was cool from what I remember. I don't have too many. I have like maybe 2 pandas. It was a great experience for what it was. Starting on the back of a turtle, it's really interesting because you're going throughout, this giant turtle. You're messing around with some kung fu stuff and just exploring this truly untapped world. And then to come to the end where you're introduced very heavily to the Alliance and the Horde, and you get to pick your side or stuff. That's really cool, and I really think it's a good experience. It's not quite on my level as these above it. However, it is a very, very good area, and I think it belongs at B+ or so. All right, so that's my final count on the starting zones. Again, I should have deleted this before, because there's no real terrible area. It's just, this is how I feel. Let me see if I can zoom in. There you go. Yeah. All right, so this is the final tier list, you have the Death Knight zone, the Worgen zone, and then the Goblin zone in S, the Demon Hunter zone, the Draenei zone, Blood Elf zone, and the Tauren Mulgore zone. And then you have the Panda, the Dwarf, the Night Elf, and Orc Control in B, and then you have, unfortunately, Undead in C. Again, nothing against the Undead. It's just when I log into it, I really feel like it's very doom and gloom, and I don't get a good feel from them. I just don't. I never have, although I have a few Undeads myself. If I had to choose a starting zone, it most likely would never be Undead. So yeah, that is my tier list. I hope you all enjoyed the video. Again, this is just a different change of pace. I wanted to do something different. And yeah, I hope it wasn't too boring. I hope I provided at least some opinions as to why I did certain things and didn't just pick something and go on. So yeah, let me know what you think. Let me know how wrong I am. Let me know what you think. Yeah, I hope you all enjoyed the video, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.